Hello, my name is Sir Thomas Sopwith. The most exciting sailing you'll ever do is in a J-class yacht. I made my name in designing and building aeroplanes for the Great War. The Sopwith Camel is one of mine. But as the war came to an end, there was no need. So I invested in my second great love, sailing. Ever since the Americans came over in 1851 and won the Royal Yacht Squadron Cup, took it back to New York and renamed it the America's Cup, us Britons have been trying to win it back. I bought Shamrock 5 in 1931 from Thomas Lipton, the T.O.M. She was a lovely yacht. I learned much about sailing a vessel of that size, but I wanted one of my own. So I asked Charles Nicholson to design something new, and I sold Shamrock to Richard Ferry of Ferry Aviation. People forget that my background was in aviation, designing and building aeroplanes. I brought a lot of that to the world of J-class. I had a fantastic designer, Octave Murdoch. He spent much time on Shamrock 5, testing the rigging and making notes. The yacht was called Endeavour, and she was launched from the Camper Nicholson yard in Gosport. She was named by my wife, Phyllis. She was a beautiful yacht. Nicholson did a fine job. She had advanced winches and welded steel mast. She had 86 tons of lead in the keel, and she displaced 170 tons with 7,500 square feet of sail that powered her along at 9 to 10 knots, and if we pushed her and there was enough wind, 13. She was a big boat with a lot of sail. She needed a large, very active crew. My first crew were fishermen from the East Coast, Norfolk and alike. Their power and strength trimmed the sheets and hardened her down to get the absolute best out of her. And I have to say, when you all stood there at the helm, and Phyllis was with me when we raced, she was a timekeeper. When you stand beneath thousands of square foot and heavy sail, and you see everything bar tight, and you've got 10 knots or more, and another finely tuned yacht is level with you, then that's a very powerful thing. That is why I love the J-class. That is why we went to America to challenge Vanderbilt, to get the old mug back. You know, we had some hiccups, crew problems, and we had to get some new people. And we'd worked out this thing called the quadrilateral jib, with 2 sheets holding it down, not the usual one. And I'd come from planes and aviation, so we had wind tunnels to check all of these ideas. And perhaps we shouldn't have showed it to the Americans, because they copied it. And racing in America in 1934, we won the first 2, and then we didn't. And there was a race where perhaps if we'd protested more, we would have won it. But do you really want to win a race ashore in a committee room, not on the water? We had a series of the most wonderful close races, and I find the greatest difficulty in expressing my gratitude to our crew, amateur and professional, for the wonderful work they have done. May I say that we are not downhearted. Well, we came back from that graceful in defeat, you might say, and I set about with Nicholson to design another yacht, and we called it Endeavour 2, and again built it in the Gosport yard. And we went back to America in 1937, but things had changed, and they were changing, and sailing seemed a bit frivolous. They still sail, and that's a good thing, but for me, in 1934, firmly bitten by the bug of big yacht sailing, trying to do with Endeavour the things I'd learnt in designing aircraft, racing Lipton and Vanderbilt, it seems to me no greater moment than being stood at the helm, legs braced against the heeling deck, feeling all that sail lift your heavy hull and make it fly through the waves.